Now, I don't really know how to start this video today because I am a little bit caught off guard. Mostly because the next couple updates are going to be pretty wild and I would say pretty exciting, so I'm definitely looking forward to them. Doesn't happen that often that I'm actually this excited for something, but it should be worth it because, oh man, I'm not allowed to talk about it because, you know, NDA stuff. But I'll tell you this, it will be pretty interesting, and I was kinda correct when I said that it is going to be a start of a new era for us, for the Corp, for me, for all of my friends, because the game will change in a good way, I believe. So a lot of new adventures are definitely up ahead, and I'm looking forward to experience all of it, honestly. So far, the new alliance, amazing alliance. I love it so far. The players within the alliance are also pretty awesome, and I'm definitely looking forward to see what kind of adventures we'll all have. Now, today I'll be flying the rock, and we will be doing a capital anomaly. Now, this is my apologies, not a capital anomaly. Yeah, I mixed up two different videos. So yeah, we'll be doing one of the new, what were they called, laboratory missions. Let me just quickly show you. I think I have one over here. It's ready. Yeah, there we go. Rescue large experimental field, Angel expert. So we will be doing one of these missions. Now recently they have been changed and they made a bit more difficult. They are kind of anomalies that are built for a carrier, but at the same time you can technically do them with a very tanky battleship, like an Abaddon or the new Navy battleships. And a rock can also do it, but you really have to have a very, very good tank. Now these missions have a chance to spawn the CYAN carrier, and today I'll show you how that thing works and how that thing looks, because the CYAN carrier is quite the nasty one, quite the dangerous NPC ship that you can encounter. Now it has a chance to spawn in the higher tier missions. In high sec the chance is pretty low, and I believe it doesn't spawn below the 5 million disc mission, but this is Deep Null, and yeah, it does spawn in Deep Null. So now throughout the mission, I'm not going to be using this build. My build will be a little bit different. I have a couple modules here that I occasionally use, but my build in most cases does look like something like this. I have one adaptive, dual magnetic field stabilizers, one capacitor battery, one targeting computer, and of course a micro warp drive, triple webs and a scrambler. This is when I run the Inquisitor and Scout anomalies, but I also do change into target painters when I do the other classic anomalies. I have a pretty good range on these railguns, about 110 kilometers. I have the thermal circulation implant, which does enhance the range a little bit, does help a lot. It does hit up to 168 kilometers. I can technically add a range general unit to extend the range even further. I'll have about 150 to 200 kilometers with it, but not really necessary to have that. And for the rigs, I have the classic, I have a combination between, well, tank, range and DPS. And in the engineering rigs have auxiliary thrusters and a targeting rig, which does help at, you know, locking targets a little bit faster. Now, no nanocore for the rock yet, but I might get one. This is my first PvE ship in a very long time. I usually don't have PvE ships, as you guys know. My last PvE ship got transformed into a PvP ship, so yeah, for now I'll be using the rock, but I have plans to use other boats. I actually do have plans for a carrier, but for that I need to get a little bit more risk, since, you know, I have to be with a carrier. I have to be very careful because I have skills for it, I have everything, but getting the carrier over here might be a bit of a, you know, a challenge. So I'll see about that. Maybe I'll buy the carrier in from the Alliance market, also a good option. might use the revelation for the job, but I don't feel like a dreadnought is actually, you know, a good idea for a stuff like this. But I'll try a lot of things out that I did miss out in the past, since our corp was primarily only PvP and we didn't do anything PvE related. Well, now it changed, so we do a lot of other things. So it is going to be a very interesting ride today. So with that being said, let's see what happens with this new mission. Well, technically not a new mission, but you know, changed mission. Alright, warping towards the Stored Advanced Experimental Field. So it wasn't the one that I actually showed on the start. I mean, there's several of them, several types of these missions. This is the Stored Advanced Experimental Field. Alright, so there's a good chance that it will spawn the carrier, and well, as I already mentioned in the intro of the video, it did spawn a carrier. So let's see how we will do. Now, ideally, I prefer to have a long-range ship for this purpose, because at close distances, yeah, tanking the fighters. I mean, the fighters are not really the biggest problem. The major problem are the capital weapons on the CYAN carrier, because for some reason they seem to be doing more damage than the fighters themselves. So a sniper ship like this one, for example, really has to make sure that it is not within the range, the zone of nope, as I like to call it, around the carrier. Now, my shield is a bit damaged because we have been doing Inquisitor and Scout anomalies before, and since I do the Inquisitor and Scouts as a sniper, I warp in, then burn out to a distance, and then slowly I do them. I do take damage, and I don't have a shield booster, so occasionally when the shield is out, I just dock and refill the shield. Now, in this case, it didn't happen. Basically, we just yeeted right towards the mission, because, you know, that's just what we did today. Although you might be wondering, why don't I use a brawl build for the Inquisitor and Scout, since it would be easier? And I would actually agree. In a way, a brawler build would actually kind of work better for a rock. After all, the rock is one of the few battleships that can face tank a lot of things, because it has a bonus on shield resistance, 20% extra shield resistance on all damage types if you have all the skills on level 5, which means that the rock can be a pretty chunky ship. And if I were to change the build for it, I would be able to brawl with the ship easily. Now, I kinda do have plans for it, but I don't have any blasters right now. Most of the items are still in low sec and in high sec, where my stations are. So I have to transport all that stuff to this system, which I haven't done yet, because I think that for now a sniper rock should get the job done. However, I would also like to have multiple builds available to me, so that I can change the build depending on the need. And I definitely don't recommend that you use only one build, because there are going to be situations where you want to change the build, and if you can't change the build, then you might miss out on combat, might miss out on PvP, you know, might miss out on fun. So always make sure that you have at least several different builds that you can apply to your ship at any given moment. That's a mistake that I made, and I'll definitely try to get more modules towards this system and towards the new home, so that I can easily swap the builds when required.
Detected.
Now, there are a couple things. Since this is deep in Null, you can't, you know, just yeet like it's high sec. There are some rules that I have to follow here, and there are some general rules that apply to all Null sec systems. I mean, even in low sec, since they're kind of similar. You have to watch local. You have to make sure that you follow, that you watch intel. You have to make sure that you don't get jumped by a fleet, or you also need to make sure that you don't get hot shot. But Not really possible to get hot dropped here because, as you can see, based on the icon above my broken shield there, you see a Sino jammer. So yeah, a Sino cannot be opened until that icon is there. Basically, a Sino jammer is active, which does kind of help at feeling safe, but at the same time also does kind of prevent you from moving your own capitals. That's one of the reasons why my revelation is still not moved. I might move it in the next couple of days, but I don't know. I kind of retired the revelation a while ago because I haven't really used that ship a lot. I feel like the revelation did kind of win the game in a way, and it would be time to go for a super capital or a new dreadnought. I haven't really decided if I want to get a super capital. I mean, again, I was very surprised a couple weeks ago, or a week ago actually, when they said that they will not be focusing on the capitals or super capitals. I didn't expect that to happen, honestly. I expected Titans on the anniversary, but I mean, I would say we're getting something better than Titans on the anniversary, so I'm not complaining about that. But kind of did disrupt my plans, and did disrupt the plans of some of my friends that did plan to get a Titan. I mean, we know that Titans will eventually make their way to the game. I just don't know when. I would say around, I'm guessing now, October. Let's just wild guess, October. Titans will come on October. That's just my wild guess. Could happen, might not happen, but that's just my estimate. So that's kind of got postponed for the foreseeable future, and I think that's a good thing actually. I mean, again, we're getting something that seems to be better than Titans, so I'll just leave it at that. So I'm happy about that, but that doesn't solve my dilemma. What should I get next? Now, a carrier definitely will work wonders. I actually do. The CYAN carrier did kind of change my view on how I view carriers in general. Didn't really like them at first because at the time I wasn't really doing much besides PvP, and a dreadnought did certainly feel much safer to fly than a carrier. A carrier can get easily killed because it doesn't really have that much tank, except with the exception of the faction carriers. But at the time, a dreadnought was definitely the way to go for me, and it kind of still is. I mean, I have to fly something that's ridiculously tanky so that I am able to survive a hot drop, like I did like 2 months ago. So a carrier for that purpose, for PvP purpose, in my case, not really.
Enemy ships
But for
detected.
PvE, I might get a carrier. For PvE, yeah, there's a good chance that I will, because again, the CYAN carrier changed my view on how I looked at carriers, and it definitely gave them a specific purpose in the game, and a specific purpose that I can also enjoy. But for PvP, maybe a super capital, but obviously not anytime soon. I mean, at the moment, the only way I get a super capital is if the Alliance decides to give him one to Pout in a big CTA. And of course, if that super here can be competed by the Alliance. So yeah, that's one. Whoops, my microphone stopped working for a second, although it is a new one. So that means my device has some issues with the port where I connect the headphones. I'm not really sure what's happening. Perhaps it might be time for a new device. Who knows? A new phone. Which one should I get? I have no idea. I'll talk about that another time. Right now I want to focus on what's happening. So what was I talking about? I was talking about carriers, I believe. Yeah, I was talking about carriers. So I mean, I had like ideas to get a faction carrier. I remember when they were originally released, they didn't seem that impressive at the time. But now they have a very nice place and a very nice purpose as well. I mean, the the lightweight ships are pretty awesome, and they do some very nasty damage. But again, the faction carriers are quite expensive. So for starters, I have to get a normal carrier, just to be safe. And even that carrier has to be flown super careful, because I'm fairly sure that that carrier will get jumped if I'm not careful. So yeah, I have to be very careful when I get a carrier, because it's not my revelation that can be brick tanked and just tank all day long. No, it's different. The carriers are not really built for tanking. They have very nice range, very nice DPS, but their tank, well, it's definitely in some cases much better than a battleship. They don't really feel like a I mean, they're definitely capital ships, but they feel like big battleships. Not really tanky as a dreadnought, but much more tankier than a battleship, which is the feeling that I get when I fly these ships. So this is, not really sure which wave this is. Let's see, wave 5 out of 5. Oh, we reached the end. Yeah, I see fighters, and the big boy is there. There we go. Researcher CNC carrier. Now, I've heard that there are several of them. When I say several types of CN carrier. Someone told me that the researcher one is the elite one. So, fingers crossed about some nice loot. They have the potential to drop faction fighters, and they are quite expensive. So, yeah, quite excited to see what they will drop. Now, the aggro has been taken by... They have aggroed the Chimera, which is a good thing, because the Chimera definitely has much more tank than our battleships, and I definitely do not want to get shot by that thing. So I have to make sure that my distance is greater than the distance to the carrier. Now, the fighters, you can focus the fighters, but the CN carrier will keep spawning them back, and you should technically kill about 15 of them before the fighters stop spawning. Now, we actually decided to go straight for the CN carrier, because it will take a lot of time to kill all the fighters before all of the other ships approach us. And we have to be careful not to get webbed, not to get scrambled. We have to keep our carrier safe, not to get webbed and scrambled, because it's definitely the ship that's more valuable, and the ship that definitely has priority when it comes to protecting. So our snipers need to keep the small ships away from the carrier, while the carrier does keep the CN carrier away from our ships. Kind of a symbiotic relationship going on here. I mean, that's how it usually goes. The big boat protects small boats against the big boats, and the small boats protect the big boat from the small boats. That's just how it goes. That's just a classic that's been in the game for 2 decades now. So yeah. Now, the CN carrier is quite tanky, and I'm actually quite curious to know, and I'll test it out myself, how well would a Navy battleship tank? Now, I'm fairly sure it will take like a long time for a solo Navy battleship to complete this, but I believe it's doable. Although I have seen a couple Navy lost mails that have been doing the elite mission, and that they have been killed by the CN carrier. Although their build was a DPS build, basically a high sec build, so not really comparable to what would I use against this mission. Because, as you guys know me, I like my ships to be tanky, and in null space, in low sec, I like my boats to have, in most cases, more tank than they have DPS. The main reason for that is the PvP aspect, since in PvP, I really good tank is going to beat a ship with very high DPS. In most cases, that can be applied even when there are multiple ships dropping on you, but the only requirement is to have a very good tank. Only a very good tank can pull off the trick with multiple ships attacking you. Because in nullsec, most of the pirates run a DPS build only with little to no tank, so it should be quite easy to repel them if you have a good tank. In nullsec, things are a little bit different. In nullsec, while you will stumble upon players that have a glass build, you also stumble upon players who have a tank build. In nullsec, tank builds are, I would say, a bit more common, but lately I also see a lot more DPS builds. So it might be a regional thing. It really depends on the region in some cases, but that's just what I noticed. In my case, from my personal experience and from my history in the game, I preferred a tank in Null, and I'm not really sure if I ever used a DPS glass build in Null. I think I did, but only on the Revelation a long time ago for a camp. But I never really used a glass build for roaming. I was always having some form of tank and very little to know specialized DPS ship. I think there are some cases where I did fly a glass DPS ship into nullsec in a fleet. But that again, that was a long time ago, and doesn't really count to. Actually, it does kind of count, but long since then I changed the philosophy to only use a tank build for null space. I just feel safer with a tank build in null space, especially since you might encounter several ships or a fleet, and you have a better chance to survive a fleet with a tank build than with a DPS build. Although there are some exceptions. Let's say a DPS bombarding plat carrier, that thing will just yeet and shred anything in its path. But technically there are some tricks that you can do to absorb all that nasty damage. A super carrier might be debatable, because the super carrier has already a immense defensive system. I mean, it has like 5 million in shield only, has like 3,300 seconds recharge time, base recharge time, which can be improved. So a super carrier kind of can just pull off a DPS build, but against a big fleet it will fall. So I don't know. In the end, I would say still a tank build is the way to go. Although again, super carriers seem to be debatable. And if I ever get a super carrier, it will be a Wyvern, just because I love how the ship looks, and it's a shield tank. It's the tankiest ship. It's the tankiest shield tank ship in the game at the moment. Nothing goes through that thing's shield, which will be interesting to see. No, someone actually asked me, did I join the alliance to kill a super carrier, a blue tackle? No, of course not. We are not doing that. We don't do blue tackle. We do respect the blue status, and we never did blue tackle anyone ever in our 3-year corp history. We never did that. I mean, well, why does blue on blue? Why am I known for blue on blue then? Well, let's say that was a long time ago, but at the time it was Catch 22, right before Mug was created. Actually, there were so many blues, it was unbearable at the time. Literally, almost the entire game was blue to us. And a couple days before I left, before we formed Mug, before the Black Ops Corp was formed, I decided to have some fun and roam around with my RB, and back then I did engage blues. It was hilarious. That was basically the only time where I actively did shoot at blues. That was like 3 years ago. And I did it on purpose because there were so many blues, and ever since then I didn't. I did have some accidental yeets where I accidentally killed our corp members. I killed a lot of my corp members. Let's just put that one out. By mistake. Also, one very important one very important aspect by mistake. But yeah, no, I'm not going to tackle any super here. Definitely have no interest in killing my own alliance. I know that someone asked me that, so I decided to give a good response on that matter, because I mean I don't even know if we have one. I think we do have a couple of them, but I don't really know. That's stuff like that. It is kept top secret, I believe, and fairly. And I have to say, it makes sense. Things like that should be kept top secret, because I know that there's spies everywhere. But the carry that the super carry that should have been blue tackled. Not really sure what happened with that one.
Autopilot
I
engaged.
think they saw the video
Warp
and
drive active.
they saw one of my previous videos talking about it, and I think they they decided to dock the carry for a while. So yeah, that's what happened. Didn't expect it to happen. I expected to see a kill mail, but yeah, that's what happened, I believe. But still, I do expect to see that carrier destroyed at one point. I'm not going to say where and when, but I did have some information on when it might happen. So yeah, we will all just sit back, eat some popcorn, pop a cold can of beer, or anything that you like to drink, and just sit back and enjoy the firework, because big ships make big explosions, and we all love to see big boats explode. Am I right? Now, the thing that happened here, our carrier actually ran out of shield and of capacitor. That's just how nasty the CYAN carrier is. Again, these things are nasty, so you have to be very careful with what you're doing with, even if you're on carrier. So the thing that I'll be
Undocking.
doing now, I'll go to the mission. I'll find a good warping that is hopefully away from the main wave, because we have been moving towards the sun, and the
Warp
enemy
drive
ships did
active.
follow us. So they are currently at 100 kilometers away from the warping from this station. So if we warp at 100, we will land at 0 from them. So in order to not land on 0, which would be a death sentence for our battleships, I'll go and quickly find a very nice secondary warping
Warp drive active.
where we can safely go and warp to without worrying about having a fat loss mail in the corp. And yeah, this is not going to be a good position at all. So let me figure out a direction. Let's go. There's that planet. Let's just go to the planet. And then at
Warp drive
100
active.
should change the angle a little bit, and then with the new angle I should be able to get a good view on. Should have a good range. My goal is to have at least 100-kilometer range from the closest enemy ship, so that our ships have enough time to start burning away from them, and so that we have some distance from that
Warp drive active.
carrier. Now the carrier is almost dead. It is left in hull, I believe, but they do boost shield, and they do boost shield quite well. I was kind of impressed by how well it does recover its shield, but at the same time, this carrier, the CYAN carrier, has a bonus on shield boosters, so not really a nothing surprising there. And it looks like I'm about to miss another roaming fleet. Oh well, it's fine. I'm 30 minutes late. Oh well, I'll try to attend next time. Alright, this range should do the job. Seems like a good position. Alright, I just checked some intel real quick. We'll have more roams, so I'm
Warp drive
definitely
active.
excited for those. So, warping to the planet, since my friends are already in the anomaly, I was the warping, the pod warping. Beautiful. That trick never gets old. Will be funny when they implemented the Hold a second. Just saw something in the background here. Now, okay. Should be good. Hopefully, hopefully I don't get abducted by some aliens. Just seen some weird lights in the sky that caught my attention. Like, was really bright. I mean, I live like very close to the woods. Like, someone would say in the middle of nowhere. Well, kind of in the middle of nowhere. I mean, I have like wild animals roaming around my backyard when I sleep, and I can hear them, ranging from random stuff like foxes, wolves, and stuff like that. Wouldn't be surprised if I wake up one day at a cold winter, opening my door and just a wolf looking at me. It almost happened actually once, like 10 years ago. Was there were some wolf tracks in my right on my front, around my front door. That was kind of a scary experience back then, but so far it's been good. Good old shotgun, always at disposal, you know. Never know when you need one, especially when you live in the middle of nowhere like I do. I often like to joke that there are some skinwalkers or other things walking around. Definitely want to meet one of those. That would be lovely. Alright, well, first thing first, I have to quickly burn towards that little planet. I say little planet, that's a gas giant, that's a giant planet. But yeah, I have to burn because I definitely do not want to attract the carrier's attention there, because those fighters are awfully close and they will not hesitate to go after me if they start locking me on. Okay, let me lock on the CYAN carrier. It almost got killed. It was left in hull. Alright. We'll definitely get the carrier, no worries. The carrier is going to be toasted.
We're under attack.
Keep on burning. Full speeds. I'm actually kinda surprised at how fast the rock goes. Almost 1 kilometer per second. I didn't expect it to be this fast, honestly. I expected it to be a bit slower. But so far it's a pretty good boat. I like it. Okay, the carrier's shield getting low. No, thankfully I wasn't engaged by a bunch of the ships, but technically I should be able to tank a while. He does still have some very nice defense, even with one adaptive, since again the rock does have a bonus on shield resistances, so it can be really tanky. I mean, the Rock is one of those ships that, if built properly for a full tank PvP build, you can break with a implant and DPS ship, because it's just that tanky. They can be really tanky, ridiculously tanky. So if I do start to take damage, I should be good. How many times did I say that so far? And how many times did things go wrong? Actually, you know, when I think about it, it didn't happen. Didn't happen that recently where I messed up really badly. That didn't happen in like over a year now. I haven't messed up badly in over a year so far. Yeah, no critical mistakes. No critical mistakes, but so far, I mean, there were some, you know, there definitely have been some times where I didn't play good. Of course, that's just part of the game, but no big mess ups. That's what I'm focusing on at the moment, and I'm pretty happy with that. I'm definitely playing much better than I used to play, that's for sure. When I compare, I mean, when I go and look at some of my older PvP videos, I can just spot mistake after mistake. Now, not really, and just, you know, very few ones. which is to be expected. With time, as time goes on, you'll be playing better. So don't worry. If you think that you can do better, you can do better. Definitely, don't worry about that. You will definitely get there. So practice is what's important. And of course, not being salty is also very important. Now we were on voice chats. Not really sure if you can hear. Actually, no, you can't. Sometimes the voice chats that we have in Discord is hilarious, and sometimes I just think that I should just play that, but for some reason my recorder kind of stopped recording everything that's happening. It just focuses on the game. Not really sure if I messed that up or if I just have to change some options. But yeah. And the carrier has been yeeted. Now this should be much easier to complete. Should be much easier to complete. Doesn't have to be, but we'll find out. I mean, the main enemy, the main target has been killed. The main threat has been eliminated, so only the fighters are now left, which I'll just web and we will kill them one by one. But yeah, the voice chat was pretty good, pretty hilarious, and if you want to join us in the voice chat sometimes, if you want to join the corp, of course, then feel free to hop in. Very lovely chats, hilarious chat actually. And I'm kind of sad that the recorder didn't pick it up, but I'll try to solve that for another time, because I mean it definitely would be quite hilarious to hear what we're discussing. Kind of very funny in some instances. So I have to say this wasn't as bad as I expected it to be. I mean, our carry had to warp out, which it was understandable. But yeah, definitely a kind of serious mission. It is definitely not as easy as it used to be. They improved it.
Warp drive active.
I say improved it. They made it harder to complete. So I mean, I don't mind the extra difficulty. It is challenging. It is also fun, and you also do get some very nice rewards if you manage to complete it. And it didn't drop anything of that. Oh, come on. I expected something juicy. Oh well. What did we get? We got one carrier debris. Oh well, 21 million. Not bad. I kind of sad that it didn't drop a faction fighter, but I guess perhaps next time. Not a big deal. So, definitely a very exciting mission now. Definitely a lot more fun if you have a fleet to run them with. But with that being said, hope you guys enjoyed. That was a very lovely run. I'll definitely try to get a carrier myself. I might need them very soon. Would make things much easier, honestly. So yeah, I'll quickly just loot the boxes real quick, and then I'll go dock the ship. So hope you guys enjoyed. If you want to support me, feel free to like and subscribe. It does help out a lot. And with that being said, stay safe, fly safe, and as always, I'll see you next time.